Welcome, tennis fans, to the 29th episode of Tennis Traverse, Exploring the Game, the podcast that delves into the heart of the tennis world. I'm your host, Ivy J. And in today's episode, I'll be talking about the first few days of the Indian Wells BNP Paribas Open, as well as predicting for the tournament. And before we begin, please follow all of my social medias, that is Instagram and Twitter, using @TennisTraverse, that is @TennisTraverse. I do want to say that I am trying to be active on Twitter now because there's the Indian Wells that's going on, which is a huge tournament. So I try to, post my thoughts there as often as I can because obviously it's such a huge tournament. And yeah, if you guys want to listen to my random thoughts, please go follow. If you're listening on YouTube, comment, like, and subscribe. If you're listening on other streaming platforms, please rate my show. And I do want to mention that I am so grateful for y'all, and I was talking to my mom the other day, and I was saying how this podcast is literally like my child. I love it so much, and I spent not the majority of my day, but I spent a lot of time in a day just thinking about it and being super excited about it because I had an amazing chat with one of the guests that is coming up on my episode. And I learned so much truly from just recording this podcast, and I'm just so happy that I have this platform for me to share my thoughts. And yeah, the upcoming episodes are gonna be super exciting. And I was gonna post a guest episode this week since I already posted my draw predictions for Indian Wells on Twitter, but a lot has happened, and I feel like I need to push that episode a bit back because I still need to edit it since we talked a lot. And yeah, I just want to put out a disclaimer that take everything I say with a grain of salt because the one I posted on Twitter is so different from the one I'll say now, just because a lot of players withdrew from the tournament and a lot of players that predicted are already out. So yeah, it's just take everything I say with a grain of salt. And yeah, let's just get right into today's episode. Okay, so I want to start off by sort of talking about the nature of Indian Wells and Miami Open. So both tournaments are to take place in the United States, and they're both worth 1,000 points, which means that you can get 1,000 points if you become the champion of the tournament. And these are called the Sunshine Doubles because they're the US swing, and they happen really close within each other, first Indian Wells and then right to Miami. So these are the two tournaments that are sort of considered right. It's for example, the Indian Wells is considered the 5th Grand Slam because of how prestigious it is, because you have to beat 7 opponents to win. And yeah, I will talk about the Indian Wells, which has been happening for 4 days. I'm recording this on a Saturday, and there's some matches that's still going on while I'm recording, but I hope that isn't much of an issue for you guys because I'm just going to be predicting and talking about the matches that already happened. So for the past 4 days, there has been rain delays for both the first day and the second day, but the third day is a really beautiful day, and the fourth day, I think it's also a really good weather day we have here, so everything's going pretty well, even though the first few days wasn't going as planned. But yeah, I guess we'll start off with the ATP side. So, okay, sorry with all the noise. I have my iPad here with me. I'm reading off the prediction. If you guys want to check out my prediction I did before the tournament started, go on my Twitter. Note that a lot of them are wrong already because I did not expect a lot of stuff to happen. So anyways, we'll talk about ATP first. So the first issue I want to talk about before we get into the whole draw thing is Nadal withdrawing from the tournament. So when I was scrolling through Twitter, let's just summarize it to two different sides. One side is sort of understanding that he can't be there because of his body and he needs to listen to his body. The other side is saying how he played in the exhibition, he promoted it on his social media, he's super stoked about it, that's all he talked about, but he gave people false hope and didn't attend the tournament. Well, in my opinion, both of these stances are valid because I feel like when I first got the news that he withdrew, I was so sad, and I wasn't angry at him, but I felt disappointed because this happened so many times with him. And at the exhibition match, I feel like he built up to the hope that he was gonna play, but he just didn't, and he withdrew from the whole tournament. And for me, because of what happened in Australian Open, this is something that happened similarly. So it kind of made me disappointed because I was looking up to him, and everything was hyping up for him to be in the tournament, including his social medias. So I think it's just really disappointing, but at the same time, we can't really blame him because, as he said, this could be his last season, and he's an old man. Like, he has to listen to his body. So that's that. Okay, let's move on to the quarters. So there are 4 quarters, and I'm gonna break down each quarter. So okay, this is gonna be a long episode, but bear with me. Okay, so the first quarter is going to be Novak Djokovic as the number 1 seed, and Herbert Hurkacz as the number 8 seeds that's leading this quarter. So I want to talk about some players that you guys should be looking, not up to, but looking forward to when they play. The first person I can think about is Casper Ruud. I know he's my favorite, but he has been playing really well. He has more hard court wins this year compared to last year. Mind that this is only I don't know, the third month. Wait, sorry. I don't know, the fifth month of the season. It's not even midway yet, and he already has more wins on hard court. So that is someone that you guys should be looking forward to, as well as I would say Humbert, because he played amazing last week. So I think Humbert is also someone you guys should be looking forward to. Okay, moving on from players, we'll now talk about the matches. So these are the 2 matches that happened already, and I don't know, they just stood out to me partially because of the scoreline and partially because of the players itself. And yeah, I just want to talk about them. So the first one I want to talk about is Arthur Fields versus Nuno Borges. So, okay, I will leave a link if I can find them, but I think I can't find this. So, I don't know. I have all the links probably to the WTA matches that I'll talk about. So, I hope that the links to the ATP matches will be up soon, but I don't think it'll be soon enough for me to link it in my description. So, if you guys want to go watch, just check, just search it up on YouTube or something. But let's talk about the match. So Nuno Borges versus Arthur Fils. Arthur Fils ultimately came out on top with a score of 7-5 in the tiebreak, 6-2 in the second set. And to be honest, I think the one thing that set them apart is the staggering first serve difference, because Arthur Fils had a 63% of first serve percentage in, whereas Nuno only had a 40%, which is kind of low. So I think that is one of the most crucial deciding factor in this match. The other match I want to talk about is just because of, I don't know, the names, I guess, because sorry, I can't pronounce this. Alejandro Davidovich Fokina, we'll just call him ADF. I really like how he plays. He fights for every ball, and he's really fast. I like how he's really, really aggressive on court. But even though the scoreline is Arthur Flees with a score of 6-3, 6-4, it's just a match that I think it is worth mentioning about. And yeah, now are just some matches that I don't know, I think are potential matchups. The first one is Djokovic versus Edgebury. I think that's how you pronounce his name. This is just an exciting match because both players, I feel like they played recently, so I think it's a rematch. Obviously, Novak came out on top the last time they played, so we'll see what happens. The next match I want to talk about is Hurkacz versus Ruud. So, in my opinion, I think both Hubert Hurkacz and Casper Ruud can go to, I think that's the first round, second round, third round. They can go to the fourth round. So I think this will be an incredible matchup. And for the quarterfinals, I predicted it to be Djokovic versus Hurkacz, and I said that Djokovic will win. And I was sort of struggling a bit to predict this because Djokovic, well, he played really well in Australia, obviously, but I just feel like the loss he suffered against Sinner, it sort of kind of destroyed how well, I don't want to say destroyed, but it definitely made me think that Djokovic isn't as strong as he was before because normally he just starts off his season with an Australian Open win, like a champion. So like I feel like it just shows that he isn't as strong coming into the season as he was compared to last few seasons. But this reason that I still chose Djokovic over Hurkacz in Indian Wells is because of their head-to-head. Novak has a 7-0 head-to-head, and I think that's just super hard to beat, especially if you're playing against someone like Djokovic. It's super hard to win at like a big stage and a high level if you're down like if you loses like 7 times in a row to him. So yeah, that's that. Okay, moving on, quarter two, we have Daniel Medvedev, number fourth seed, versus leading the pack with Hoja Rune, number seventh seed. And I said that this was my favorite quarter, but I'm not sure because before we had Nadal in this quarter and he withdrew. So, but still, there are still a lot of good matches. Okay, so I want to talk about the two players that you guys should be looking out for, Taylor Fritz and Sebastian Baez. Taylor Fritz, he always do really, really well at Indian Wells. He was the defending champions, I believe, 2 years ago. And Sebastian Baez, he earned two titles coming up leading to the Indian Wells. So I think both players should be players you guys should be looking out for. And the match I want to talk about that already happened is Grigor Dimitrov versus Alexander Mueller. So this match was close, I guess, in the first set. So Grigor won the first set in 7-5, and he won his second set easier with a score of 6-2. And I don't know, I think the one thing that set them apart, I guess, are the break points because Grigor converted 50% of his break points, whereas Mueller only converted 33% of his break points. So I guess that is a deciding factor, but still, I feel like it's just worth mentioning because, well, for me, Grigor Dimitrov has been doing really well this season because, well, he's been doing super, super well at the start because obviously he earned his first title in 5 years in Brisbane, which is the first title of the year. No, sorry, the first tournament of the year at Brisbane. Am I repeating myself? Well, he beat Hoja Rune in the final. In Australia, he made it to the third round, but he lost to Nuno Burgess, who had an amazing run. But however, he started to, I don't want to say trail off a bit because still he made it to the final of Open 13, the semi-final of ATP Rotterdam. But I still feel like he's like consistently having deep runs. But I don't know. I just don't have a good feeling about this Indian Wells for him. Still, I think he can make a deep run, but I feel like expectations are so high for him because we know what he is capable of achieving, and it's sometimes really hard when you're in that position to live up to that expectations. So, yeah, and we'll now talk about the different matches. There are a lot I do want to mention, but I'll just talk about them. Roman Safelin versus Sebastian Korda. I talked about this. Safelin is a player that is super talented. He beat Carlos Alcaraz at the Paris Masters last season. Sebastian Korda hasn't been doing super well, but he's coming back slowly but surely. Sebastian Baez versus Fognini. I think Sebastian Baez will win, and it'll be a relatively easy win, but I think because of the legend Fognini he is so like it's just gonna be entertaining. Musetti versus Shapovalov. This is gonna be an interesting match because Shapovalov, he's just coming back from an injury and he's super stoked to be on the court again, whereas Musetti, he has been, I feel like he's been struggling to improve and break where he is. Like the season really hasn't been the best. Both of these past 2 seasons, I feel like he's just constantly trying to earn a title at a higher stage or make a deeper run at a Grand Slam, but just never succeeded. So I think it's like really sad for him. So I think this will be an interesting matchup considering the circumstances of both players. And the other matchup I want to talk about is Manarino versus Grigor Dimitrov. I don't know, like, not that much to talk about. I already talked about Grigor. He is amazing. And Adrian Manarino, he's just such an entertaining player. An example is he doesn't know his player, like, he doesn't check his player or the draw before competing, which is super incredible. And to be honest, really unique because not a lot of player does that. And yeah, I guess it's still my favorite quarter because there's just so much exciting matchup that could happen. And for this quarter, for the quarterfinals, I said it will be Medvedev versus Taylor Fritz, and Taylor Fritz coming out on top. I know Medvedev had an amazing past few weeks, but I feel like Fritz, with the home crowd behind him, I feel like he is going to come out on top. Okay, moving on to the third quarter, we have Andrei Rublev, which is number 5th seed, and Yannick Sinner, the number 3 seed, leading. And I said to look out for Ben Shelton and Andy Murray. Ben Shelton because it is, well, he has grown a lot, and I feel like this is his first time being this huge of a person, if that makes any sense, competing at Indian Wells, which is one of the biggest tennis tournaments at the US, sorry, at the in the United States of the year. So I think the home crowd is going to support him and love him a lot. And then the other player is Andy Murray, even though he already lost. I still want to mention him, an honorable mention, I guess, because he played his best out there and he had a competitive set with Andrei Rublev. And it's his last season on tour, probably, maybe. So really sad to see him gone. But yeah, we'll move on to the two matches, and they're all by Andy Murray. The first one I want to talk about is Andy Murray versus Goffin. So I might get the score mistaken, but I think Andy won with 6-2 and 6-3. It might be 6-3 and 6-2. I'm actually not sure, but it was really not close, and he did so much better than what I expected. Like, I expected it to be really close. I didn't expect him to close out on his opponent in like such a drastic score difference, but really happy for him. I think this is the best he ever played this season. And then his match against Andy Rublev, I think echoes the same because he played a competitive first set with him, which is super rare because really, to be honest, he hasn't been doing well this season. And for him to go out there and play like an actually competitive set with one of the best players arguably on tour right now is insane to me. And yeah, I'm just really happy for him. Even though the second set he trailed off by a lot, I still think that to compete at such a high level against one of the best players is a really rare gift. So yeah, super happy for him. And I want to talk about potential matchups. It's Tsitsipas versus Tiafoe, which I'm pretty sure is already set, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it's already set. It's set to Sunday. So I think you guys will be able to know the results. And the other matchup I want to talk about is Rublev versus Tsitsipas, which might happen. And that will be in the 4th round. I think Tsitsipas will come out on top. I'm really not a fan of Rublev after what happened last season. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, please check out my last episode. Well, not last season, sorry. Last week. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, please check out my last episode. But long story short, Rublev got defaulted from a match after cursing out, well, not cursing out, but screaming at a line judge's face. And I get how a lot of players will, like, do the same or even be worse than him. Still, I feel like it's just not a really good gesture to have, no matter, like, it's just not a right action to do. So, and it's just like that just happens. I'm not sure if I'd still like support him 100%, but I still think that Tsitsipas will come out on top because yeah. Okay. What else? Let's talk about the quarterfinals, I guess. So the quarterfinals for me is going to be Tsitsipas and Sinner, and I think Sinner will come out on top. Not much to say. I feel like Sinner, currently he has a 16 match winning streak, which is insane because it includes Australian Open and ATP Rotterdam, which is the two like tournaments he attended. So he's 2 out of 2 this year, which is incredible. So yeah, but I feel like the more he plays, I feel like the pressure is gonna catch up on him. But as I said, he is an experienced player. In the round of 64 yesterday, he beat Tanasi Kokonakis by a score of 6-3, and he bageled him in the second set. So I think the pressure is not affecting him. Okay, last quarter, and then we'll move on to the women's side. We have Alexander Zverev, which is the 6th seed, and Carlos Alcaraz, which is the 2nd seed leading. So players I want to mention, even though a lot of them, well, one of them is already eliminated, Alcaraz, Thompson, Deminor, and FAA. Thompson is already eliminated. I did not expect it because he had such an amazing run last week. Like, he beat so many incredible players, including the final against Casper Ruud, which he like defeated him. Like, I don't know why, but he lost in the first round. I guess that's just how tennis works. But I want to talk about Alcaraz. Obviously, he hasn't been that um hot coming in, but I still think with not the pressure, but because he's the defending champion, I think the pressure might be motivating for him in a way. And then we have Deminor because he had an amazing run. He earned a 500 title last week. FAA because he's coming back. The one match I want to talk about is Alcaraz versus Analdi. Alcaraz actually lost the first set by a tiebreak, and then he came back with a score of 6-0, 6-1, which is like he suddenly snapped. He's like, okay, I'm awake. It's like crazy, but yeah, I watched the first set tiebreak and I was like, why is Alcaraz playing like that? But I think he managed to come back, which is really exciting. Okay, potential matchups. I said Alcaraz versus FAA and Bublik versus Alexander Deminor. And for the quarterfinals, I know this is a bit weird. I don't know what happened, but I have Zverev versus Nicholas Jarry. Okay, listen to my thoughts for the Nicholas Jarry part. I have Alcaraz versus FAA for the third round, and I said that FAA will come out on top. I don't know. I think from the way Alcaraz was playing, he was scaring me a little bit. I was like, I don't know if yeah, he was just scaring me a little bit. So I put FAA, and then with FAA versus Jerry, I think Jerry will come out on top, and that's just what happened. And I said Zverev will win this quarter. So we have Zverev and Sinner in this quarter. I think Sinner will come out on top. So for the finals, we have Djokovic versus Sinner, and I think Djokovic will win, even though on my prediction I put Sinner. I guess I changed my mind. I just think Djokovic has more experience. Like, I guess I know this is a boring prediction, but even though he did lose Australian Open, I think Novak is not someone that's going to lose 2 times in a row at like one of the high level tournaments against someone. I just think he's not going to do that. So I think he's going to beat Sinner in the finals. Okay, that was a lot, but we'll move on to the women's side. There's still 4 more sections to review, but I'm gonna try to get through these. Okay, so for the women's side, the first quarter, we have Egon Swiatek, the first seed, leading with Ons Jabeur, the 6th seed. And this quarter is a mess because Ons Jabeur is already eliminated. And the 2 players I want to mention is Madison Keys and Angelique Kerber. Madison Keys is coming out with a 5 months injury. She's coming back with a 5 months injury, so I think because this is also Indian Wells, which is her home court, I think this will be really interesting. Angelique Kerber, because she gave birth and then she came back on tour, so I think coming back at one of the biggest tournaments, there is obviously a lot of pressure, but I think she enjoys that pressure. Okay, and then the matches, there's a lot of matches that are really good that already happened. Danielle Collins versus Iga Swiatek. Well, the first set of that match, Collins tried in the first set to like hold on, but Swiatek just completely destroyed her in the second set. Madison Keys versus Haley Baptiste. Madison saved 2 match points. Ostapenko versus Kerber. It was a 3-set match. It was super close. Wozniacki versus Vekic. I watched the first set tiebreak. It was really good. Wozniacki, I think she came back after being down 2-4, I'm pretty sure. And guys, I don't know what this quarter is. On my prediction in Twitter, I said Ostapenko will make it to the finals. and she lost in round one. Wait, yeah, I'm pretty sure she lost. No, sorry, she lost in round two, but still, like, I said that she'll make it to the finals. So I'm sort of confused, I guess. But if I really, really have to think, the quarterfinals, this is just like whatever. I think the quarterfinals will be Iga Swiatek versus Vekic because Ant, Andreeva, and Ostapenko are out. Like three of, in my opinion, one like the best players. Well, not the top three, but like a few of the best players of this quarter are already out. So I think, I don't know, Swiatek versus Vekic and Swiatek on top. Okay, moving on. This quarter is also kind of weak. Well, I don't want to say weak, but we just have to admit that it is kind of weak. So we have Elena Rybakina, the number 4th seed, and Marketa Vondrousova, the number 7th seed. And yes, I do know that Elena Rybakina withdraw, and she was the defending champion. So we have the number 4th seed completely gone, and then she withdrew because I think of some stomach issue, and Vondrousova, obviously she hasn't had her best season at all, like at all. So I don't think her seed really matters. So I guess the other apart from the seeding issues, the players are really good because we have Anna Kalinskaya, Jessie Paulini, and Marta Kotsiok, which are three amazing players this season. And the matchup I want to talk about that already happened is Kalinskaya versus Taylor Townsend. I'll leave you guys a link if you want to check it out. It was super close. I watched it. And then the matchup I want to talk about, well, there's just one match that really stood out to me. There was going to be a lot, but Rybakina withdrew because I was really excited to see if Rybakina can play against Kalinskaya. I think it was going to be an amazing match, but she withdrew. So we have Kalinskaya versus Paulini, which is already happening. It's set, and I'm so excited. I think it's going to be an amazing match just because of what happened in Dubai. So I think Kalinskaya is going to come out on top. So this is already the third time they played each other this year. They played in Australian Open, they played in Dubai, and they're playing here for the third time. Okay, and then for the quarterfinals, I have Kalinskaya versus Kotsiok, and I think Kalinskaya will come out on top. Okay. Um, for the semifinals, I have Kalinskaya versus Swiatek, and yeah, Kalinskaya versus Swiatek, and I said Swiatek will come out on top. I think because they played in Dubai and Kalinskaya beat her in 2 straight sets, and I think one of the qualities of a top player is you're able to sort of beat someone when you already lost. Like you're able to adjust after suffering a defeat. What I just realized is that this might be one of my longest episode, maybe the longest episode, but whatever. Let's just continue. Let's finish this. Okay, so for quarter three, I have Jing Qingwen, which is number 8 seed, and Coco Gauff, the number 3 seed. And the player you guys should look out for is, drumroll please, Naomi Osaka. Okay, so Naomi Osaka, she played her first match already against Sarah Irani, and to be honest, this draw is much nicer to her than the other draws she experienced. Anyways, but she played, it wasn't a really, really like easy match, but she played the score sets otherwise though. She played against Irani and she beat her by the score of 6-3, 6-1. The first set, I guess, was a battle in the beginning because she was down a break. Coco Gauff and Barrow, it was also an amazing match. I was just watching it. Coco was down 2-6 in the first set and then she managed to come back. Insane. This third set, she was also down. I think it was like 2-5 or 3-5, I'm not sure, but she came back in the tiebreak. Both exciting matches. I'll leave the link. And then potential matchups: Osaka versus Gauff, Kasatkina versus Stephens. Well, for the Osaka versus Gauff one, I actually, before I was like, okay, Gauff is gonna beat her, but from the way she's playing, like against Fiorel, I think Osaka might come out on top, but I don't know, take my words with a grain of salt, because the way Gauff adjusted after suffering the first set might just set, like, I don't know, I think she might come out on top. I'm not sure, but with Katsukina and Stephens, I think Katsukina will definitely win. And then for the quarters, we have Coco Gauff versus Katsukina, and I don't know, something just came over me. I said Katsukina because in 2018 she made it to the finals of Indian Wells where she lost to Naomi Osaka, but I still think that she's gonna come out on top. Okay, last quarter, and then we're kind of done. Okay, we have Jessica Pagula, the fourth seed, versus and the second seed, Arena Sabalenka. Okay, so the two players that I think are worth talking about are Emma Raducanu and Emma Navarro. Well, cool, they both have Emma in their names, I just realized. But I think that I want to talk about them because Raducanu, obviously, she won the U.S. Open, and I think she's just an amazing player in general, and she's coming back. Emma Navarro, she's been coming up, and I think this is one of her biggest chances to prove that she can make a long run. We have for the matches that already happened, we have Pliskova versus Blinkova, we have Layla Ferdinand and Diane Perry, and we have Zachary versus Schneider, which are all incredible matches. And for the matches that are coming up, I said Sabalenka versus Stearns and Emma Navarro versus Sabalenka. So both have Sabalenka in it, but I think I just like Peyton Stearns a lot, and I like the way she fights on court, so I think both of these matches will be amazing. And for the quarterfinals, I didn't put Jessica Pegula in there, and I just checked the score and I realized I was right because Pegula lost to Blinkova. She lost the deciding set with a score of 3-6. So that's that. Um, I put for the quarterfinals. I put Sabalenka versus Zachary. Well, the Zachary part, I think it's just not sure if it's gonna be true, but I really want her to have a deep run because I feel like her confidence really needs it. And I said Sabalenka will come out on top, and the final will be Swiatek versus Sabalenka, and I think Swiatek will come out on top. I don't know. It's both of these are kind of boring because both of them are just number one seeds, but I'm sorry. I think it will be more unpredictable than what I said it will be, but I tried because I said Ostapenko. I tried to make it unpredictable, but she lost in the second round. So last thing I want to mention, Simona Halep. She got overturned from her drug dosage ban, and she's coming back to tour. She received her first wild card in Miami, which is like 2 weeks from now, and she's gonna play, and we're gonna see her play for the first time in such a long time. I'm excited. I'm excited, but I'm kind of nervous. I don't know. Okay, that's it. I know that was a lot. That's probably my longest episode, but I have a feeling that my guest episode will be longer because we talked for a long time. And I know this is a long one. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And please follow all of my social medias, Instagram, Twitter, at Tennis Traverse, at Tennis Traverse. If you're listening on YouTube, comment, like, and subscribe. If you want to reach out to me, just shoot me a DM or go to my link tree and send me an email. If you're listening on other streaming platforms, please rate my show. It helps me a lot. And yeah, I'll see you guys next week. Bye.